Hello, good afternoon. It's a Saturday chess show on IBM TV or Pod TV now. My name is Sasha Starr, and I would like to introduce my esteemed colleague and friend, and first of all, Grandmaster Suat Atalik. Welcome to the show, Suat.
Hi, Sasha. How are you doing?
Doing good, good, good. We're of course are discussing Tata Steel tournament, which is last program. I think we were discussing whether it's a Wimbledon of chess, like used to be Linares in old days in '90s, or it's something less significant or so on. But there are not too many tournaments of this caliber, as we can say. Tata Steel. Let's admit that there may be two, three tournaments a year. Although this upcoming tournaments, the World Cup, that would be quite interesting. There will be three tournaments which will have a qualifier for the candidates. So it will provide two lucky winners who will join six people already in, and it will be candidates tournament. Now, if you would think anybody missing in weekend there, yeah, there are a couple of names that are being missed. Maybe Nepomniachtchi, maybe Ferrugia, maybe Aranyan.
Dingliran, in
Yeah,
case.
yeah. So there will be probably a handful of people, maybe 4 or 5 players who could have been there. But even without their names, the tournament is quite interesting. I was watching today's game actually. Never mind this story with Dubov, which we're going to comment on that. But I would like to mention something is happening in the game now. Reminds me much Carlsen Nepa. That Nepa is playing a reasonable game, and let's say after 20, 25 moves through, position is about equal. All of a sudden, there is a collapse. All of a sudden, he's losing almost instantly. And something like that I saw today. For example, the same Carlsen played with White. Sorry,
So he
with
was
Black.
black today.
Yeah, he was black today against his Indian, hard to pronounce name, but very talented.
Pranaganda.
Oh, that's brilliant. Okay, I will in about next Saturday. I will be able to pronounce it too. I will practice a lot. So remember that game was something. Actually, after opening, I liked White's position. He played quite sneaky moves like b3 and bishop a3. I think it's quite interesting or so.
This is some sort of theory.
It's something. Of course, listen, I'm not specialist in theory, but I think it was a reasonable game for White for the time being. And then there was some moves, and basically there was equal position. And all of a sudden, that equal position, White started to go downhill, really almost like forcefully. And Carlsen actually did very little. All he had to be is just to be there. He didn't make any brilliant move, from what I understand. So what I see, he just had to be there, and it was his game. And the same thing happened, I think, in Rapport game, if you remember. He was playing a game also. This was
When Carlsen was white, yeah, in the previous round.
yes, that's right. No, no, but I'm talking about not Carlsen. I'm talking about today's game.
Rapport Mamediera was a draw, maybe another game.
Yeah, hold on. Was
It
it?
was a colorless draw.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. You're absolutely right. Let's see who's playing whom. Was it a game? Oh, sorry, Van Forest against Vidit.
With it.
Yes, that was also some kind of a game where it was about equal position, back and forth. All of a sudden, Vidit collapsed almost instantly in a matter of 5 moves, and position from equal became totally lost. So, is it something? What happened in today? I remember old-time chess when somebody like Korchnoi played, and he was in worse positions, but it was extremely tough to win against him because he was very resourceful and he was fine defense, and he was very tough to actually beat. You could get better position, but to beat him was very tough. And today's chess is something what I feel that people, when they have, well, I just discussed equal positions, but when people get in a worse position, they're collapsing even even faster. Is it the kind of what makes today's chess different from yesterday's lack of resourceful defense? What do you say?
Well, I I would, in some way, I would distinguish these two games a little bit. I would separate them. First of all, you are absolutely right. Uh, and we know the reasons in some way, especially people from old guard. I would call people like Korchnoi and others were not only more around players, but as well they were more educated people. So they had a very good sense of danger also, and they wouldn't go into some certain positions. And they were deliberately choosing some positions looking a little bit inferior. So this falls into the category of Carlsen with the game with Pranaganda. No matter who Pranaganda is, or no matter how talented he is, sorry, but he's a limited player, you know. So, and since many people pointed out, the better player to be always lucky, if
Mhm.
we call it, So
Yes.
Carlsen had a game like this. So Pranaganda, I was watching actually some time before our show. I was watching Nakamura showing some really very nice lines and a really good interpretation of what was happening over the board. And indeed, Pranaganda had a very decent position, but he was hesitating, obviously. And once he started to hesitate, little by little, the position started to become extremely dangerous for him as well. Actually, he had a very interesting bishop sacrifice. Sorry, a very interesting piece sacrifice at some moment on the king's side, and it would be very unclear position. And also Nakamura said, like, look, if it was Dubov, probably Carlsen wouldn't play in this way.
Mhm.
So in this is really that. Coming to the game with Van Forest and with it, I believe it's a little bit different because it really reflects more what you said, that people with having the technology, they want to equalize immediately. So the defense is killed. We don't have real defenders anymore. And maybe Vidit was worse at the beginning, but then uh, when he couldn't achieve immediate equality or immediate draw, he started to go down. And it became really terrible at some moment, pushing G5, losing the control of seventh rank, and he just resigned in a couple of moves. So, but also, let's not expect much from today's players. There are many good players that we call them good, but how many of them will have a place in the history?
Mhm.
That's really there, like I mean, a lot of people actually, a lot of colorless people, they do this, they do that, they play here and there, and maybe they lose like certain players from the past. I don't want to comment what Korchnoi did with Damjanovic and Janošević. These guys, they had even a very good place, each
Mhm.
of them in the history of chess. But many of these people, we will not really remember. I'm really harsh on it. So what is there with Mr. Pranaganda? Let's just bring Pranaganda to our show. Will he speak 2 words in a row?
Mhm.
So this reflects in some way in his game also. Is the guy who never found anything, extremely nervous. If you watch all these videos, which I watch a lot, this rapid
Mhm.
blitz, there is a kid, like Pranaganda, having a piece in his hand, flips this over like a monkey, then plays some natural forward moves. If it is some sort of, high level theoretical knowledge requiring position, it's a complete failure. I was watching some game between Firuzi and Shevchenko, relatively known, rook ending, but
Mhm.
they already lost it, because they have few time. They are adapted to all this blitz, internet blitz, rapids, and with in such a world, it's very difficult to sit there and come up with a dangerous play. They are It's like ping pong. I mean, I never liked this table tennis to watch. It's a very good sport, but what's there to watch? I throw you the ball, you throw me the ball back, and we play for 10 minutes. And all of a sudden, somebody collapses. It's the same. Okay, it is really forced in the ping pong. But why should we with chess? And I was not so surprised about these games. Uh, I was not even so surprised about maybe you mistakenly referred to this game Carlsen Rapport. It's also
Yes,
very similar.
I
Also,
remember that.
he plays something and just Rapport immediately resigns. The same into this type of Catalan setup with Gire. He is prepared. He plays something. We already spoke about it maybe in our last show. It shows the strength of Carlsen. Carlsen somehow uh, belongs to the past and present. I don't know if he belongs to the future. It's very difficult
Mhm.
to say. Definitely, his name is there, but he is dangerous.
Yes. Somebody said on commenting Carlson, they mentioned that Kasparov said that Carlson plays combined style of Karpov and Fischer put together. That's what Kasparov said about him, and I think I would say it's probably 75% Karpov and 25 Fischer, because his positional understanding is great, and his tactical vision is excellent, and I hardly can figure any weaknesses in Carson's game. Maybe there are none, or if there are, it's very difficult to pinpoint these weaknesses. He's just practically extremely strong person, and he's finding quite successfully ways to annoy that particular opponent in that particular position. He's really good at
It's a
that.
difficult job.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that Karpov was really very nasty for his opponents. I just remember a game that he has beaten Hort, and Hort was also an all-around player, But they play some ending, and then it's very obvious if you see the last position that in a rook ending the guy goes g5 and there are pawns g6 h6 for black and he has h5. You
Hmm.
immediately, I think it's even from Canada, it's from Montreal,
Yes.
1979. Um, and if you would show this game couple of moves before, some position from the game to Hort without having played this game, the guy would say like, oh yeah, but how should black play that bad? uh, but also, let's not forget Karpov was taking a lot of risks because when the game continues in such a way, you yourself, the forcing side, the guy who is trying to win, you are also in danger of making a mistake, many times even blunders. But they
Yes.
had I mean, he had a really good hand, for chess, and so Carlsen has, and it really works against these people. And but I do not know. I mean, still, as a person, obviously, if we would have Karpov here, he would also explain us. He can speak. He can reflect some knowledge and some general culture. Now, I mean, any kind of interview I watch, it really, they really scratch my ears. They cannot construct sentences. They cannot explain how they win, how they lose, and matters around the world, politics, whatever. Let's not even touch it.
There were a lot of videos about Karpov, maybe because of this new movie, Champion of the World. It's in Russian, and a lot of people commented it's a really good movie, although it's not. I haven't seen it, but from what I've learned, it didn't portray Korchnoi
Oh,
properly,
not correctly. Yeah, they made
not
a.
correctly, and the match and the everything was happened. But they're saying that this is. Mm, it's not a documentary movie, it's an art movie, and they wanted to do something different, whatever. They just wanted to popularize chess.
No, but they wanted to show Karpov. The movie is based
Yes,
on
that's true.
Karpov. It really didn't matter uh, whatever was shown on the other side, Korchnoi or other parts of life. I mean, he was shown like a really perfect person. Wow, very nice person. He has a lot of problems. He plays this match. It's a tough person, whatever. And he saves, meanwhile, his first marriage. While we know that he's married twice.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
So, but it shouldn't be touched. And it gave a good, I don't know, some sort of really uh, good image about Karpov and what kind of difficulties he was in at that time, his friends, the people with him, the dilemma. I mean, even Brezhnev, he was in a dilemma just in the history and also in the movie. Obviously, you push this guy who is altogether 50 kilograms, and there are a lot of things happening. It actually burst out later against Korchnoi.
Mhm.
Is he going to win? And there is this western, west east type of serious fight. But I like the movie.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting. I know Anatoly Karpov personally and met him many times, um, and he seems to me uh, a very adaptable person to the environment what's around him. So when it was a time of Brezhnev, then obviously he was loyal to Brezhnev and so on, and he was a hero in the Soviet Union and so on. Um, However, being here in Canada, actually, first time I met him in '79 during the Montreal Tournament of Stars. That's when I met him first time. And he was not afraid to talk to me. Maybe because my wife, she knew him from the childhood. They were playing in school tournaments or so. So maybe that's why he was so-called more disposed to communicate or so on. On the other hand, next time I met him in Lucerne in the Chess Olympiad in Switzerland. Now, at that time, he would be meeting and spend some time with us, but he would always look around if anybody would follow him and so on. So he wanted to keep it kind of a secret, and that's okay.
No, I have a lot of memories with Karpov. I also played with him, and actually, I shared the first place in front of him in a tournament in his later age. But
Great.
also the best of everything when I was in France. He came with a flock of people because he used to have a place in Belfort,
Yes.
and I was not playing, but I was acting as a trainer in French league. This top says, and I'm waiting for the game. I was not allowed to enter the tournament hall
Hmm.
by some decree of Madame Auger because I
Yes.
sort of brushed his little boy not off. Because he dumped the game, in my opinion, and me, Yepishin, and Elvis, we complained about it, and actually, a committee headed by Timman refused our letter, but it's very debatable, obviously. And speaking of Dutch and conformity, it's another story that we will touch.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
I was sitting there and I was waiting, for whoever I was training, and my friend Ivan Sokolov, and I had a little bit more than the drinks I should have consumed in the middle of the day. Now Karpov appears that okay, we had always very good relationship, So he comes, he says he's with Quatli, and maybe Jean-Paul Touzet was alive, I assume at the time. So they sit with me, and I don't know. I unloaded very badly on the FIDE people, and Karpov really liked it. He said, like, look, listen to Suat, he always tells the truth.
Hmm.
But then I start unnecessarily attacking Karpov also. And Karpov and Samovet went to Quat. They said, like, go and buy a coffee for Swat, now it's the time. So Quat went there and brought some real coffee, and I stopped that. We stopped laughing. He was, well, I mean, first of all, by age, he became more courageous. So he started to
Mhm.
talk very freely. And
Yes, absolutely.
and the second thing, he was a tough guy always, and over the chessboard, and also with many different things. But I am not so sure about being adapted to the new regimes, because basically the difference between him and Kasparov, when there was no more Soviet Union, and he had to spend his own money into this team of seconds.
Yes.
Kasparov was very generous, and he was also behaving maybe worse than Tolia did. But Tolia stuck with some certain amount of people, and also he was badly annoyed, by Belyavsky changing side together with all these little people, Michal Chishin or whatever, and he really didn't want to spend more money. Meanwhile, the other one was drafting people left and right. Actually, Kasparov spent much more money than Karpov.
It's not, in my opinion, it's not only a question of money, even not so question of money. It's a problem that Karpov was really, really hurt by betrayal of some of his people. And he wanted to rely only on people that he knew 100% will not betray him. It was Misha Podgaets,
Yeah,
it was Yepishin, it was another couple of trusted people, and he really,
Anishuk,
yeah, that's right.
Zaitsev.
Yes. So he had some people that he really trusted 100%. Now, another thing is that I remember even in 1988, we were flying together in a flight from St. John, where is it, the chess festival in Canada. We flew to Toronto. And we were talking, and I was asking him about how he felt by losing a match in Seville, where he was just almost returned the crown, but unfortunately he lost last game to Gary Kasparov. And he didn't have any despair or anything. He just said, "That's okay. I will prepare well to next match, whenever it will be in 1990, and I will win for sure."
Which
He
never
was,
happened.
it
Oh no,
didn't.
1990 happened
But
actually.
but I was admired his confidence because he already lost, say, three matches after that long one that was adjourned. He lost three matches to Kasparov, and it was already clear how strong Kasparov was. No problem. He would. He still believed that he would.
But one of them was draw. Yeah, this match was drawn, and that's how
That's right. Yeah, Seville was a
Kasparov. But it was
agree.
okay. Actually, at that time maybe he was people's champion because Kasparov won the last game
Yeah.
in a very difficult. I mean, when Karpov resigned, many people, even with our chess knowledge, we didn't understand if
Yes.
this ending with all the pawns on the same side could be won by white. But it's really, but they are both very strong. Yeah, no, you are absolutely right. Also, it may not be because of money, but the other one had a really vast team, a lot of investment, and Karpov thought like it's like his style, that old school type of preparation,
Yes.
and he will be there, and he will play. And he had some, I don't know. He had difficult times. He had times of overwhelming in some certain setups. It's really interesting.
But Short, would you agree with that? That the for some reason, but now both Kasparov and Karpov, it's almost past of the it's past of chess really. I mean, what they played their fantastic matches in the 80s and 1990, and that's where it stopped. So it's more than 30 years ago. So obviously they're not going to compete, not in serious games. That's also obvious. but at least now we can have at least some analysis of what's really happened. And in my opinion, number one has to be said, although overall Kasparov proved to be a better player as the results of the matches are concerned.
Mhm.
Okay, however, Kasparov was also younger, 12 years younger than Karpov. So, okay, so you can wait there. But you must admit, and nobody, in my opinion, does it, that Karpov was the only player in the history of chess who could fight against Kasparov. All other players, Kasparov was destroying left and right with black and white in tournaments and matches all the way. Nobody could fight as Karpov did, even in matches that he lost. So he would lose one, maybe 2 points. Seville, he drew the match, and so on. So Karpov, in my opinion, was only one player of all who could fight against Kasparov on almost equal terms. Not quite equal, but almost equal. Would you agree?
No, definitely, but also for Karpov, it was Kasparov who was the only guy who could play with against Karpov because Karpov dominated for a long while. But there is one interesting thing that when I will say, or you will say, ah, yeah, there is this thing, but we cannot really categorize it. Strangely, Ivanchuk was doing fine against Kasparov.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And later, Kramnik, even before the World Championship match, he was
Hmm.
able to, squeeze a couple of wins. They were exchanging blows, let's say. I mean, okay, match is really something strange. This match for whatever, that he lost his non-existent title to Kramnik, and I think he had a relief. But even before that, no, there was also Kramnik, but also it was just like Karpov. It was not clear, and but for Karpov, apart from Kasparov, there was nobody for a very long time. He really
Yeah,
dominated.
yeah.
I mean,
Don't forget that Ivanchuk and Kramnik, we're talking about late 90s when they
definitely.
were growing much higher hierarchy and could compete against Kasparov. That's true. Now it would be interesting to see the Karpov's and Kasparov's reaction to what happened today, because in Tata Steel today was four decisive games, only three draws, four decisive games. However, one decisive game there was only one move played, D2, D4, and 1-0. What's happened apparently, we learned that Dubov, who was playing against Giri with black, he didn't show up on a game. And at first nobody knew what's happened. Then there was some kind of information that Dubov probably tested positive on a test. Then there was information, no, he did not test positive. But somebody from his team was tested positive, and he was in contact with that person. So another piece of information came that he got test negative, but it was a short test. The main test will be ready only after the game. So organizers asked him to wear a mask and play his game against Giri, and then the main test will decide whether he's positive or negative. Dubov refused to play in a mask, so he forfeited the game. He got zero. Now, there are already many questions raised by what I told you, but I've told you only what I heard. I don't have any special information or unique information or secret information. I don't have all that. So, Suat, being Grandmaster and playing in a lot of top tournaments, but never in COVID time, I guess. So now with the COVID, what's the right way of handling there? Because FIDE doesn't have any special rules about COVID. And I'm not even clear how FIDE is involved in the Tata Steel tournament. It's not.
No, it's
Uh,
totally involved. Look, by that, first of all, when COVID started, FIDE was reluctant to come up
mhm.
with a system. And okay, already we have spoken about it. So for me, the main point is chess is a sport. When we define always people, in my opinion, okay, people from FIDE, I don't want to even touch, all over the years. 1982 probably was the last time before Campomanes came. We got some respectable people,
Yes.
organizations, for a while, some sort of order. But FIDE should have come up that with a rigid idea that we are a sport, and we do not see other sports performed in mask. In all the rest, we don't have mask. So mask should be pushed aside.
Oh, fencing.
Yeah,
Fencing.
well, that's
They have
well,
masks.
without mask, the guys, even with the mask, you know that sometimes the sable past the mask, unfortunately,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
hurt the other side. This particular sport is really a great sport, in my opinion, which is not attracting people. I never practiced.
Oh,
I
in
would like.
hockey. In hockey, they are wearing masks too.
Okay, but this is part of the gear,
This is
yeah. And I like hockey even more than fencing, obviously. Although I cannot skate, I have my hockey idols. I would I would like to get engaged in some duels with some FIDE people, obviously. But okay, so now FIDE never came up with that, and every single organizer is seriously connected to FIDE. And I have to tell you that Tata Steel people, a team led by Van den Berg, they prepared this for a long time, and they have their own, agenda and their connections. And but something is always on organizers' part. They do not have a big name, let's say like Timman. You know what they do and what they did for a long time. They invited people like Timman, Lobron, Van Vele for
Yeah.
this commentary, which they don't have anymore.
Mm.
But it's always I have always this idea, which was also derived, partially by Donner. All these jobs should be gone to the real chess players. You have Tata Steel, one of the best tournaments in the world.
Yes.
You have to clarify certain things and you have to act accordingly. Now, uh, the main point, I find Dubov's reaction very reasonable. First of all, I played a lot of tournaments. I was one of the most active people in pandemic time. For
I
last
remember. Yes.
I played quite a lot. I couldn't come to the shows because I was
But you
always
played in
sick.
Serbia mostly, right?
Yes, I played in Serbia. I played close grandmaster tournaments or mixture of some opens which I
Hmm.
won. I did not win, but even in Serbia there was this pelmele, like French they call, like a mixture of things.
Hmm.
For instance, I was very much annoyed in one of the first tournaments when I played with Ansmoke Neiman in the same tournament, that the organizer all of a sudden before the tournament says like, yeah, well, everybody will wear masks. I say like, you never informed me. Yeah, he says, yeah, but this is the law. I say, what is the law? Well, then we start talking. There are three tournaments: Grandmaster tournament, International Master tournament, and an Amateur Open. Now, I said I will not wear the mask. Then he's an old friend of mine. He really, you know, had a kind request. He said like, okay, maybe the first day, you got the mask, whatever. There will be some people. Our COVID measures. Now, even at that time, I told him like I had two speeches with him because later he broke into the Serbian Chess Federation. So I say like, look, um, whatever the federation people should speak about it with the authorities, and you have to define chess and the chess competition. Now, what happened in those tournaments? You know, we got this mask, which I was not wearing. But then the players from Group B and from the Amateur Open coming on the stage where we play and watching the games from very close distance. So now the question is how good we are to define the rules. And okay, this quarrel I had, my play, whatever, I changed the place and I stopped playing in that particular place. I played for the team there. I played a lot of their tournaments. After that, I simply stopped playing in that particular city of Serbia. And then I started to play more in Novi Sad. And okay, the organizer is a grandmaster
Oh,
himself.
I see.
And the very first thing he said, like, look, no mask. If we have a sport, no mask in my tournament. So, and then we came to play the league. Now it's really something I will make you laugh. So I played my first game with a quite talented player, Nikola Radovanovic. Okay, it's a team competition. I played Nikola many times, even in the Blitz, Rapid, not only in normal games. He's a tough cookie. And somehow, sometime, I wanted to visit the other part of the, the hall, and I wanted to see what my friend Branko Damjanovic doing. And comes a guy, the main arbiter. I am not. My Serbian is not great, So comes the main arbiter. He tells me something. Not only in this situation, I don't want to listen. I don't want to hear. And I thought, like, the guy tells me that I shouldn't go to the other sector of play. I say,
Why?
okay, okay, I go back to my board. I sit. And then sometime later, I'm about going into the bathroom. The guy comes and now clearly says that Grandmaster, you have to wear a mask. And then
Mm.
I look at him and I just burst out, really. Really, I cursed him and everything. And then, okay, by the way, I sacrificed the rook. It's a very funny game. And at the end, it was a draw, but I was a rook down. Very strange compensation. He made it an exchange, whatever in this. And then, my team captain approached me and he said, like, you have two yellow cards.
Really?
Game. I say, really? So how does it make a red card? And we start
Yes.
laughing. So I say, and then he told me the incident, and then I realized that I said, look, I first of all I misunderstood the guy, and second, I am not the guy who walk around during a chess game. And now, according to the rule they pushed, when you play your game, you are free. You don't have to wear a mask. If you want, obviously, you can carry it. But when you stand up, you have to wear a mask, no matter
Oh,
where.
really?
I
Uh-huh.
mean, this is really stupid. This is incredibly stupid because when I stand up, I shouldn't, by the laws of chess, come close to anyone. It should be strictly forbidden. I shouldn't speak. I mean, how COVID is spread? Basically by
By
saliva,
speaking, yes.
by speaking, but if I see someone, I keep my mouth closed without any.
There's only one thing worse than speaking is singing. When you're singing, that's spreading like crazy.
Obviously spreading particles into the air. But now I say, like, and then in the night, when I was having a walk, I met the tournament manager who turned out to be the organizer of the previous tournament I told you.
Oh, I see.
I told, like, what are you guys doing? He says, yeah, rules. I say, like, what rules are you talking about? He says these are the regulations pushed by the Ministry of Health.
Hmm.
And I say, like, did you object? No, but who cares about chess? Now, when we start telling, like, who cares about chess, it's already the limit. So Being a federation, when they send you these regulations of a tournament, how you can organize a chess tournament in particular, you have to make some remarks and you have to send it back. And you say like, look, under the conditions you propose, we cannot organize a chess tournament. This is ridiculous.
Mhm.
Really, I mean, it's completely illogical. Whatever I have told you now. Uh, Now coming to what happened there, whatever they were supposed to do shouldn't be to force Dubov wearing a mask in this particular game.
Okay, then what to do?
Next day, just make the gameplay another day. Come
As
up,
as a matter of fact, tomorrow is a free day. So
yes,
they could simply move
yes.
that game from today to tomorrow.
Tomorrow, it's very simple.
Depends, hold on, depends on the result of the main test. If the main test would show that Dubov is positive, then Dubov is out, and that's the end of
Yeah.
story.
Look, this is quite correct. Now, we already know. I have nothing wrong with it. When somebody builds up, when somebody catches COVID and shows symptoms, well, this guy should be kicked out of the tournament, no matter what happens. And we also know that some people have very strong immune system, and we got this shots and strong immune system. I can tell you during my time in Serbia, uh, there was a lockdown in Turkey, and me and some Indian young player, we were sitting together every day. Like there is no one. The tournament life was already also sort of seized there, but we had breakfast and everything. And after some time, okay, he goes to have the test, and he's found positive.
Oh my
But I
God.
had no symptoms, nothing. We know all these things. But now the very important thing, we have to have a serious chess playing organizers, bureaucrats who are from the game, who have to be quick to build up certain reactions, even in pandemic time. What we spoke is a very logical decision. You move this game and then you wait this result. Usually, the result of these tests. I mean, I had it in Istanbul, for instance. Like I was going like 8 9 o'clock in the morning, and 2 o'clock they could give 3 5 hours. 5 hours. So you do this, and if Dubov found positive, you kick him out. Meanwhile, at the beginning of the tournament, the same guys they took a risk because this guy Pranaganda and his usual teacher Ramesh, who is very popular these days, the great Indian coach Ramesh, whom I've seen in real life in India, he's just a he was a grandmaster and then he completely quit playing chess. He was very helpful with these youngsters, whom I played, Gukesh Arigaishi and many others, Aididia. He was found positive in India,
Mm.
but they still allowed Pranaganda to play in the tournament, and they already forced him to wear a mask. But already, many of Indians and Chinese they like this mask to play
Yeah,
with.
a lot of people there in the East, they're wearing the mask regardless coronavirus. They just wear masks
Definitely.
every day. Yeah.
You remember the SARS? I had to travel to Argentina from Italy. There was a queue of people coming from China and surrounding
Mm,
countries, and they were all wearing masks at the time. I was
absolutely.
looking at it was this pandemic of SARS, and when one of them was, coughing, all the queue of white people were bending towards one side. I mean, these are a little bit of paranoia and also inefficiency,
Hmm.
serious inefficiency, in my opinion, from the organizers' part in this place of Waikanze. Many people do not know what to do in pandemic time because they don't have good enough knowledge about chess, about world, about anything. This is the same thing with Turkish Chess Federation. They were organizing before a lot of tournaments. Pandemia comes, they know nothing about. They don't
Yeah.
organize anything because they they are not chess players. They don't know much about chess, and they don't know much about world. They don't know anything about health system, and then it's just like they are going into their shell.
But I remember there was one famous in Turkey. There was one famous organizer. Is he still organizing tournament? I forgot his name.
What
Um,
did he do? The organizer of Kuşadası, he is in prison
he's in prison, really?
for child molest. Is this the
Oh,
guy? Also, he didn't pay the prices of Kuşadası in 1990. Maybe that's how you remember him.
yeah, his name
because
was around quite a bit. Yeah.
because you remember, speaking of Karpov, he won against late Gavrikov from
Hmm.
Moldavia. Later, he was in Lithuania, and then
Lithuania, yes.
died in Bulgaria.
Hmm.
And it was in Mazatlan, Mexico,
I was there. I remember the tournament
and
very
then they
well.
didn't pay the prices. So Mazatlan
Wait,
was
wait,
not.
wait, wait, wait. Karpov was paid the prize. The other
Karpov is always paid. I am sure
Karpov
about
was
it.
paid. Yeah, but the others no. Eventually they were paid, but it took several months.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the Turkish guy is really an improved version of Mazatlan people because he never paid. But regardless of that, obviously, nothing happened to him about that case. But later, he was into child molest, and still he is behind the bars. Maybe this is the famous organizer you mentioned.
Well, it's really horrible. There are a lot of child molesting in physical sports like gymnastics, for example. In US, there was a very big case, but in
But
chess,
this is very physical, especially for the Turkish organizer.
that, that's something makes Turkish organizers are very special people because they could do so many wonderful things. Scott, listen, I'm very thankful to you for your opinion. It's very interesting to see what's happened next in Tata Steel tournament. We'll discuss it next Saturday. It will be interesting now. It's very decisive moment because Dubov, he played less than 50% of the games. So if he's out, then all
Are you
his
sure if it is
results,
less than? No, no, moment. Let
yeah,
me let me be sure. It's a good question that I wanted to
he
uh, to
played he
to
played
check.
only 6 games. There are 13 rounds, so he
Yeah,
played
but this
six
is
games.
just the limit. Yes,
Sorry.
I mean, if he would have played this game and the incident to happen next round, then his
Yes,
result would be counted. So yeah, no, this is really bad
exactly.
for the
But
tournament.
however, wait a sec. But okay, he forfeited his game. But actually, the game was announced and position was on the board. The move d4 was played,
But
so
this is a forfeit. It doesn't matter. So
it's forfeit. Yeah, okay.
if he was a white, if he would be white, it would be without D4. The forfeit.
So it's very unclear what's going to happen to his results, whether or
No, no,
maybe
no.
he
They
will.
will. No, it looks like he will not continue the tournament, in my opinion, and he shouldn't.
Yeah,
And no, in this case, I really support Dubov. I don't have such a high opinion about the kid himself, and I do not know him. But on the other hand, his result will be cancelled. All of his previous result, and including this win with Giri, obviously, which is ridiculous.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and now he had only one loss and some draws, and it was something obvious with the colors also because 13 rounds. If you play white against Dubov, and if you have a smaller number, then you have two extra blacks in the tournament. So I really don't know. The pandemic time, certain things goes really.
Absolutely, and I'm quite curious what's going to happen in this. What is it? The World Cup tournaments in Berlin starting right after Vacancy. Then we'll be in Belgrade, and then the third one back in Berlin. So there will be three tournaments to determine two places in
But
candidates.
we know the rules for Belgrade. Yeah, you go to toilet, you have to wear the mask. But now I have to tell you something very serious. Uh, the World Blitz and Rapid Championship. Many people caught COVID. More than no. I mean, my wife came and she coughed. I don't know how many days. Still,
Really?
she
Oh,
coughs. So obviously, this Niemann, with whom I am very friendly, he couldn't leave Italy. He had COVID. He seriously found
oh
positive,
my God.
and you know, and Kramnik said one of the first real things in his life. He said like, I didn't want to go to play there. First of all, let's not forget he's retired, But okay, he said I could go and I could play there, but half of the players had COVID, and he was very right. Now all these tournaments you mentioned, I don't know how they will do it. Only with the poor Nakamura was the one who was caught, and I
Right.
watched a lot of videos where Nakamura played, and he was coughing terribly. He couldn't stop coughing. He was. I mean, he was disturbing himself. He was disturbing the opponents. Anyway, with his juggling with
Yeah.
the pieces, whatever. These nervous type faces. It's a case, but. I have really bad news in this case. FIDE should come with some very serious rules because when qualification comes in, we shouldn't have, Giri Dubov type of
Yeah,
days.
this is terrible, especially when these tournaments are qualifying for the candidates. Everybody understands how important are these tournaments, and especially they have this peculiar new system where they have groups of four, and only the first place is qualified from the group. So every game is becoming extremely important. So if you have situation like today, it can affect majorly the results of the tournament and who will be qualifying. But okay, let's hope that our FIDE will come up with something really good.
Our FIDE, bona fide, not our FIDE.
That's right. Well, we'll see. So have a very successful week, and looking forward to see you next Saturday.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very
very
much.
much, everybody. Bye bye. We'll see you next Saturday. All the best.
Bye.
Bye bye.